whenever there is a change in management, there is also change in culture. It will take one activity to destroy who you are, but it will take years of hard work to create who you are.
We have the pleasure of welcoming Sanjeev Himachali today to our interview series. I'm Vanessa Rose from the People Hum team. Let's begin with just a quick introduction of People Hum. People Hum is an end-to-end, one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM that is specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work. We run the People Hum blog and the video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year, and publish around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. And now for our guest, Sanjeev is the principal consultant and talent strategist at Ecliptic HR Solutions Private Limited. Sanjeev is adept at expediting change management through leadership, differentiated talent models, attracting and developing the best talent, and building a culture of engagement, agility, and innovation. We are extremely happy and honored to have someone of his stature on our interview series today. Welcome, Sanjeev. We are thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
So, the first question I have for you, Sanjeev, is could you tell us a little bit about your work as a talent strategist?
Yeah, certainly. What basically happens is that as a talent strategist, it is the a CEO of a company or a HR head of a company. They give us a goal, like where they want to reach, and as a talent strategist, I help them with the how part, how they can reach there. So whether it is about talent acquisition, the skills they need, the competency of the framework, whether they will land it locally or they have to go elsewhere, and also what are the uh, challenges. Once you get good people, it is also the role of a talent strategist to help the company create that kind of a culture where they can flourish, where they can give their best. And once, like for example, how to kind of set up a right performance management of a system, uh, how to set up their compensation and of the benefits, what is the market trend, and also how to develop them. So all these are the part of a role of a talent strategist. We basically work with small and medium size companies. We also work with startups. So yeah, that's what I do as a talent strategist.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Since you spoke about culture, how do you
Yeah.
develop a culture that ensures employee engagement?
Well, like culture is very basic foundation for any company. Now it is the culture that drives the commitment. It is the culture that decides how things work here. How people get rewarded. What get reward. Uh, what get rewarded. So those kind of things are something that culture basically decides. So culture, though it is the brainchild of the CEO or a founder of the company, but it as a talent strategist, it's also our role to help them create the best culture. The culture that attracts good people, a culture that help them retain the best of the employees. So what we suggest is that they should not micromanage. That is the first part, because when you hire an individual, it becomes very important that you don't doubt their capability. You uh, have to trust them with their work, and you should know that if you have given them any work, it will be done. Okay. You need to set expectations. So as as part of culture development, it's important to let people know what is expected out of them, what kind of behaviors, so those kind of things. Then it is important to focus on employee development. That's critical. That's part of culture. Okay. Thirdly, when you are creating a culture, it is important that the voice of an employee is heard, right? So if they are involved in any kind of project, it's important to seek their feedback, take their inputs. Okay. And most importantly, as we know that ultimately the end goal of every employee is to get good salary, good perks, good benefits, and all that. So uh, it's important that one should have a very clear uh, expectations in terms of the reward. I mean, it's like this. Okay. Now if you will achieve say around 50 out of 100, I will give you this. If you achieve 70 out of 100, I will give you this. So those kind of relation between performance and reward should be very clear and should be communicated to them. We call it as a performance based culture. Okay. So wherein the emphasis is on performance. Okay. So set the goal for them, help them achieve. So performance management should not be like a once an year kind of event, right? It should be something that should be, you should speak to the employees on a regular basis. Ask them if they are facing any kind of challenge. I suggest that it has to be done quarterly. I mean, if not monthly, at least quarterly. So by the end of year, both employer and employee know how they have done, and it will not be a surprise for anybody. So that's uh, other thing that I tell. And it's important to help your employees it's important to create that kind of environment within a team. So develop your managers to help them manage their team efficiently. That's that's a big gap that we are basically talking about, because many times managers face a challenge. Okay. Because they are not groomed to how to manage. It's like handling your team, handling your stakeholders, handling your clients, internal, external, everything. So it's important that before you elevate somebody to the role of a manager, it's important to help them get the competencies that are required to be successful in that role. And all these things put together create a culture where employees feel engaged, where they feel committed, and they go beyond the scope of their work to deliver. So yeah.
Right. That's very interesting. So you're saying culture is the core of an organization and people are a very important part of it.
Yes, and I mean, one should. It's important. No, I'm not saying that one should take input in all the things that the company does, but if a- if an employee is involved in certain assignment, his input is required for that. It is not just that you give them anything without taking their inputs.
So they should be aligned with your vision and what you're trying to do.
True.
Okay. So, Sanjeev, with a lot of new age leaders and startups, how would you help entrepreneurs of today get ahead in the race?
Well, what we do is that most of the startup of the founders tend to have a very amazing of a journey in the beginning. Okay, uh, I have worked with successful as well as not so successful of the startups, and there is one key differentiator, and that is focus. Okay, so when you start a company, you stay focused for 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, and then suddenly that focus of the shift to other things. Okay, so difference between successful and not so successful startup, according to me, the first factor is focus. So we help the founders with leadership of coaching and mentoring. Like, we know that there as they will grow, there will be multiple deviations. They will encounter things which will divert them from their core things. So it's important that they have a coach or a mentor to keep them focused. Secondly, I think the word agile is misunderstood in many of the startups and small to medium scale companies. Okay, now being agile means that you should be flexible with your planning. It does not mean that you should not have a plan. It means you should have a plan, you should have a goal, you should know where you want to reach, but you should be flexible with your plan. Now, many companies that I see, they're not, they don't have any plan. And when you ask them, like, you don't have any system, you don't have any process, you don't have any plan, so they say that we are a startup. Okay, so we cannot have that. We need to be flexible. So that is one thing that I want to be very very clear with, that being agile is doesn't mean that you cannot have a plan. Okay, secondly, we help these people define their vision. Okay, now it's when they start, whether we call it your beginners of luck or whatever, uh, at at the start, they are very enthusiastic to bring their product or service to the market and all that. But often they don't have a vision, they don't see themselves beyond 2 years, 3 years or stuff like that. So you might agree with me that most of the startups that we have come across, okay, they have one vision, that is to raise funds and sustain for 3 to 3 4 5 years, then अपना sell off the company to अपने bigger player, and then just exit. No, so that's not the way we create successful companies.
Right.
Okay, so one should have a vision. First thing. Second thing is that okay, now as of the founder, as of the founding team of whether one, two, three people, there is a limited work that you can do. Okay, you might be competent in few things, but not all the things. So it's very critical to create that winning team. It is important to bring on board people who have the same fire, who have the same kind of vision, same kind of energy to work with you. Okay, so that's critical. Okay, now I was working with one of the company, and my uh, one of the core assignment I had was to develop that winning team, that team of 15 to 20 people on which we could raise a company of 200 to 300 employees. So winning team is very critical, and we help them there. Secondly, culture. Okay, now people say that right now we don't want to have any culture, or we want to be very flexible with our approach and all that. Culture is not only important to attract people and retain people, but culture also talk about discipline. Culture also talks about how focused you are. Okay, so it's important to have a culture. Uh, People outside the, whether inside or outside the company, will relate with your culture. Okay, when people talk during their they talk about the culture. You see the culture of this of the company is so great, or the culture of this company is so much shitty and all that. They play politics, and those kind of things people talk. So it's important to have that kind of culture, and it's important to create employer branding. That is other thing. The next thing is about putting up the processes in place. So as I said, being agile doesn't mean you cannot have plan or you cannot have a process. Being agile means that you can be flexible whenever required. Okay, so we help these startups and these small companies in creating that processes. Also, as I said, that it's important to have manage your team very effectively. So what that means is that I have seen companies as small as 15 people or 20 people, and they have favorites in their teams. When you are so small, your focus should be on delivery, not on playing favorites and I want to support him, or I am against him, or stuff like that. You you don't have that kind of a choice. So we help them coach in that segment. And lastly and most importantly, as I said in the beginning, leadership coaching is very critical for startup founders to stay focused, to get right people in to manage them effectively. And we do that. We give coaching to these founders and the CEOs and all.
I think focus, flexibility, processes, and culture. This is like the main things for creating a winning team.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really helpful, Sanjeev. So, what do you think is the future of recruitment?
Well, as we know that artificial intelligence and blockchain that is already affecting the way the hiring is done.
Mhm.
Uh, Soon, what will happen is that, you know, imagine this, there is a vacancy. I mean, there is somebody who left the job in your team, and the system can automatically create job requisition. System can also generate the right pool of talent available in house in that location. System can also create the compensation of the benchmark. And if they if the system does not find right people within the company, then system can post that job requirement on job portal automatically without involvement of humans. Okay. Now that's what that's the place that we are heading for. Okay. uh, we will not be needing people to screen CVs. There will be chatbots. Okay. Now, based on the job description and the profile of individual, chatbots will create interview questionnaires. They will do the first level of screening and then send the good quality CVs to the recruiter. Okay, so it will save a lot of time. Okay. uh, Another thing which is already there, and I see that growing more in future, that is interview scheduling. Okay. Now it takes a lot of time, lot of effort for an individual to schedule interview. You have to check with the hiring manager. You have to check with the candidate. Sometimes they are not available. They don't respond. Stuff like that. So imagine there is a system that can manage all these things without involvement. Okay. uh, that's what the future will hold for us. Okay. uh, Artificial intelligence will be able to find talent gap within the team, and uh, based on, of course, of data, the it's all about big data that we are talking about. So yes, a human will be required to create that data, and then from there onwards, machine will take care of it. And also, we are talking about integrated uh, recruitment of the solutions, wherein you have, I mean, whether it is web based or it is app based, you have CVs, you can screen it, you can schedule interviews, uh, you can make offers, you can do the psychometric assessments, you can do onboarding, all within a system. So that's where I think we are going in terms of the future of the recruitment. And uh, currently, I mean, where on one hand we are able to find out the time that takes to recruit a good person. soon we will be going to find out uh, metrics to create to basically find out the quality of talent or the impact of the talent on business. Uh, those kind of things will happen in future. I mean, when I say in the future, we are some of these things are already happening, uh, though not at a larger scale, but there are companies in Europe and there are companies in some other Asian countries like Japan and Korea, where artificial intelligence is helping recruitment team in a big way. Also, the future of recruitment is that you will not find many MBAs. You will not find many MBA HRs in the role of recruitment. You will find more people, more sales people. People who have done MBA sales, people who have expertise in customer service. You know, those. Those are the kind of people that will be working in recruitment.
Yeah, it has made the process very efficient now, the role of
Yeah.
technology. And how do you think organizations can deliver a meaningful employer brand?
Okay. Now, see, employer brand is certainly critical. I mean, especially in last like about 10 years or so, after after we got Twitter and Facebook and those kind of tools where uh, it's important to establish and maintain your presence online. That has become of the need of hour. Whether we are talking about future employees, whether we are talking about clients, everybody is observing you. Okay. And therefore it's important for employers to create a strong brand. It not only helps you in getting right people, but it also helps in engaging and retaining right people. Okay. So whether we like it or not, whether we have done any conscious work or not, but a employer brand is already created, whether good, bad, ugly, that is a different thing. So the first thing is to audit your brand. That is, first you need to find out that what is the impression that people in your company is having about your company, or what is the impression of external worlds like talent uh, world, or your prospective employees, they have about your brand, how your clients are seeing you. So it's important to first have that audit done. Okay. Then it's important to create your strategy, align your strategy around your company goal. It means it's it's important for you to know how you want to be perceived by the external world. So that goal need to be created by employer, that the management team, the CEO, the founder. Once you align your strategy, once you align your business strategy with your employer brand, then it is important to create what we call as your USP. We also call it as employee value proposition. So uh, that clarifies the expectations of both candidate and company. So it is important to create meaningful EVP. Once it is done, once the audit is done, once you set your goal, then it is important to create a story. We are living in a world of stories. Okay, so we see around, whether we are talking about business people, whether we are talking about politicians, whether we are talking about sports people. Everybody has a story, and because people connect with that story, so you also have to create a story as a employer, because it's the story that's tell. Then comes effective social media strategy. Once you have a story, once you know your goal, then it is important to share those things, share your values, share your culture, share your story through blog posts, through videos, through your slide shares with the world. And it should be impactful. It's not like you shared once and then you stop it. No, you have to do it repeatedly, and so much so that uh, people could relate with you. People could relate with your story. Okay, now for example, when I mean, it cannot be part of this interview, or maybe you want to edit it, but the like for example, now it took me like 1.5 2 years uh, to tell people about relationships, to tell people about commitment, to tell people about how we are connected with each other emotionally, and all those ways. So after now, because I have been doing it consistently, now it is after 1.5 year, 2 years, that people are able to relate to it. So what I mean to say is that uh, brand building, brand destroying can be one day thing, but brand building is something that you need to do consistently, every day, every week, every month. So and you cannot stop that. So uh, know your culture, know your goal, and then start sharing those things with the world, and how you are different from others. Okay, now I tell people, I mean, many time uh, I get a request from employers to help them prepare employee manual, and they look for very cheap quality things, because they say that you don't have to do anything, you have to just copy from Google and give it to us. But I tell them, I mean, it's not a document. Your employee manual is your culture. Okay, it's something that will set the basic of the foundation for who you are. So while you can copy some of the processes, you cannot copy culture, because culture is something that is inbuilt, that is decided not by your competition, but by the values of the founder and the CEO. And you might have seen that whenever there is a change in management, there is also change in culture. So that's how critical it is, and that's I mean, we have social media, and we need to use it efficiently to brand us. And as I said, it will take one activity to destroy who you are, but it will take years of hard work to create who you are. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much of sense. So it's like, you know, conducting a SWOT analysis for your organization, which will be an ongoing process.
True.
Also, what do you think managers can do for their employees' mental health during these stressful times?
Uh, well, I mean, I think it's this kind of a situation has never happened in the past. And while every company was busy with educating their managers and educating their leaders about data, big data, artificial intelligence, social media, and stuff like that, somewhere we missed, somewhere many companies have now missed to create that competency of uh, crisis management. And if you see, most of us are facing that challenge, how to manage it, because we have never even done that. uh, it's like suddenly, the people are asked to work from home. uh, there there are so many of the negative news that's going around, especially recent of the cases where the companies have now fired their employees on a Zoom call or on a WhatsApp call and all that. So that is creating lot of anxiety. That is creating, lot of fear among people. So uh, people are already facing challenges in terms of finances, and when these things happen, they feel very terrible. Okay, now uh, there are a few things that can be done. Okay, now one is to keep in touch with your employees, with your team members on a regular basis. So check them, check with them, see how they are, see if they need any of the help or not. uh, it's important to be effective of a listener now. So many times, your team member will be sharing a sad story or a painful story, or maybe sharing his or her anxious uh, anxiety. So it's important for the manager to listen, at least listen. That's very important. uh, Working from home doesn't mean that one can work anytime or all the time. It's important to have a schedule. Okay, so kindly help your employee, create that schedule. Share laughters, share joys. It can be both ways. Even if the manager can share his experiences and all. So when manager share his experience or his joy or his anxiety, it will come across more as a empathetic manager who understand us. Okay, instead of just listening, because sometimes when you pretend to listen, it it become very audible to the other person. My manager is not interested in what I am saying. We need to collaborate with your team to find the right arrangement, what is working for them, because when they are at home they don't have right space to work. They have so much of disturbance with the kids around and all that. So it's important to find out the right working arrangement. And secondly, I think this is the time when uh, HRs and managers can show their creative side, uh, and how they are uh, like caring to their employees. So sharing them the right kind of information. uh, Phone calls at when you were working in your office was okay, but now it's important to have a video call, because video call will give you that personal touch, and people will feel that uh, attachment. Okay. So I think these are some of the tips, help them with the support. I mean, some companies have uh, already created support system for their employees, like in terms of hospitals, in terms of purchase and delivery of grocery, in terms of sending them back home if required, and all those kind of things. So it's time not to be thoroughly professional, but to create that personal bond with your team,
Yeah.
that will help them control their anxiety and not get into depression.
You have some really nice tips. So this is like an opportunity for an organization to create an employer brand.
Sure. Yeah.
So coming to the last question of our interview, Sanjeev, do you have any sound bites you'd like to leave our audience with?
Well, I think one thing that I tell is that you don't need to be part of a rat race. So whether you are an individual or whether you are a company, you have to create your USP, and your USP should help people find the solutions to their problem. You know, uh, everybody has a problem one way or the other, and they always look for the solutions. Okay. So build on that, build on your unique proposition, build on your unique selling point. And uh, there are uh, two things, three things that I want to stress upon. One is that uh, you cannot grow company or individual. So it is important to create collaboration, create value based collaboration with right people, customer focus, and upskilling, that is reinventing yourself. These are the three things that will keep you focused on your journey, and that will also take you closer to your goal. If you will, if you miss any of this, if you fail to collaborate, if you fail to upskill or reinvent yourself, and if you fail to collect right data, we in normal layman's language, we talk it, we call it uh, patterns. So if you are not able to see the pattern, and if you are not willing to collaborate, and if you are not upskilling, then you sooner or later you will lose the focus, and you will kind of derail your rail. So it's important to focus on this.
Thank you for that, Sanjeev. That was really wonderful advice. And thank you so much for joining us and sharing your views with us. I had a great time, and I'm sure
Sure,
our audience is
sure,
going to
Anisha.
love it.
Sure, Anisha. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for your time. Right? Yeah. Bye.